All right.
Hey everybody, and welcome to our team call. I'm super excited for our topic today. Mr. Justin Hickox is going to be talking about the three essential things that every coach needs to be doing to have success in this business. Before we dive into that topic though, I just want to do some recognition and then also just a few little FYIs, things that you should be aware of. So first off, you should know 2B Mindset has just been released this month. It's an incredible program. I've shared some stuff about it in our team page, my excitement for it. I'm just getting such an overwhelmingly positive response from people that I talk to about this. It's amazing. Like, this can literally be a breath of fresh air for you and for your business and for your customers if you embrace it. Okay. And I know it can be overwhelming. And I talked about this a little bit in our team page, but I just wanted to say it again. I know it can be an overwhelming mindset shift to go from, okay, we're talking about 80-day obsession, which is so dialed in. It's like as dialed in, as you can get, right? To 2B Mindset, which is so broad and so open, and it can almost be like your brain's just like, I don't wanna, right? I just want to stick with what I know, what I know. I don't want to stay in my comfort. But that's one thing we do as coaches is we push outside our comfort zone. We allow ourselves to see that sort of overwhelm and that doubt and that I don't want to go there, but we go there anyways. Okay. And what's on the other side of this is amazing. Like, I literally get goosebumps just talking about this because I know it's going to be such a game changer for people. Like, this is what people need. So get behind 2B Mindset, start watching the videos, get yourself the basic package so you can start going through it, start watching all the materials. And I know the more that you learn about this, the more excited you're going to be to share about it. So really wanted to talk about that. Talk about Summit really quick. We have Summit coming up next month in Indianapolis. It is not too late to join us. If you are on the fence, I won't take too much time. I'm just going to say you have got to be there. You've got to be there. It will change everything. It is worth figuring out a way to get there. We can help you with that. So get your booty to Summit. Let's see. Our next challenge group's coming up around the 21st. So we have the 80-day obsession one and we have the 2B Mindset one, both starting on the 21st. So that's where you can be inviting your people to. And then I think that is all the updates for now. I want to do some recognition really quick and then I'll open it up for everybody else. I want to give a huge shout out to both Stacy Burr and Tori Sparrow, who have both signed up their very first business building coach this past week. Woo, woo, woo. So proud of you girls. We know that is so just fun. Like, I just love that part of the business. It's just expanding your ability to help more people, right? Because alone we can only go so far, but when we are a team, we can go even further. So huge shout out to those guys. Anybody else have recognition? Oh, and I want to shout out Andrea, who is a brand new coach. She just joined us on Monday. She's already on the team call. She's awesome. She's killing it with 80-day obsession. So way to go, girl. That is awesome. Anybody else have recognition you want to do?
Anybody? We'll take the whole day. Like, we could do it all day. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the posts. I feel like we posted so much yesterday. I always feel like bad, but does anybody else have anything that they want to brag about? Just maybe even about themselves, anything that you're excited and proud of that you accomplished last week? Because that's a big deal that we overlook, I think. You can raise your hand if you want to. Okay. All righty, then we will move forward, but I can say that there's so many people. If you're on this call, I want to recognize you simply for that, right? Like, that takes time. It takes mental thought, like, hey, I actually have to remember this and do this. It takes treating this actually like a business. So don't discount yourself. I appreciate your time. I know everybody else here appreciates your time. And it's a big deal too, because it's a big part of actually, so it's funny that you brought those two specific things up with 2B Mindset, Alicia, and with Summit, those two things, it's kind of interesting because what you're talking about, Team Lead Mindset and getting out of our comfort zone, that's basically going to be very much the basis of the kind of story I get to tell you today, to be honest. And Summit, I'll tell you now, I did not go to our first Summit. Deanna went to the first Summit. I did not go. I went to the second one, and I kicked myself for not going to the first one. And the reason that we go to every Summit now is purely because there's one thing that I've learned in life, but really in Beachbody in the last 4 years. Success leaves clues. Every single coach that I talk to, and we talk to a lot of them, every single one that is successful and that is growing their business, every year, they're at Summit. They're at that every quarter. They're at the Super Saturdays. They go to all the events. And that's part of, I'll actually talk about that today in the story. You'll understand why it's so important. And Chloe, who actually jumped on the call, she was just in Mexico with us. It was her very first trip with Beachbody. And her and I were talking, and she's like, oh my gosh, just recently, she's like, oh my gosh, that trip, I feel like it was so good for me and for her boyfriend, John, soon to be husband someday. And you know, it was so good for them to be around the community that is what, you know, the community that we could be a part of. It's a massive deal. And so we'll talk a bit about that through this little story I got to tell you guys. But I want to talk today about the 3 most important things that we are all going to need about to be successful in coaching or really in anything in our lives. There's 3 things that we absolutely have to have. And the best way that I can really explain these is to tell you a story of a man that is, most of you are not going to know the name. Does anybody know the name? Raise your hand if you know the name David Goggins. Does anybody know who that is? Do you know who it is? Andrew, you know who David is? So I've done this call on a handful of team calls. I've never seen somebody raise their hand at that. So congratulations. So are you familiar with his story? Here, let me unmute you. Are you familiar with his story?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I found him on Goldcast.
Okay.
So I just, I've listened to him while I take my dog for a walk or when I run, and very inspiring, very inspiring.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'll share with you his a deeper story and kind of why he's so inspiring, guys. So first of all, let's kind of start. David was born in a small town. Okay. He was, one of his favorite things to do was to go to school, and he loved being able to go to gym class, right? He was very athletic. He wanted to do things that were exercise and fun and movement and all that great stuff. And he wanted to do all of this amazing stuff, but he really never got the chance. He rarely ever was able to go to school. When he did go to school, he wasn't able to dress down for gym. So he was never able to participate in it. And the reason that he wasn't able to go to school and the reason that he wasn't able to participate in gym or dress down was because if he did dress down, people would see his bruises and his scars. And see, his dad was extremely abusive to him and his mom and his siblings. So what ended up happening is that dad would make him more often than not actually work at his bar or restaurant with him. So not only was he almost never allowed to go to school to get out of the torture that he saw on a day-to-day basis, to get out of the mental, emotional, physical abuse, right? To get away from that and find his safe zone, he wasn't able to go. And when he was able to go, the one thing that he wanted to do more than anything, he wasn't able to do, right? So eventually, as time went on and his mom got stronger and stronger and stronger emotionally, eventually came a time where she was able to get herself to a place where she said, okay, enough, I'm done, I'm leaving, and I'm taking the kids. So they left, right? And when they left, they moved, and finally David was like, okay, this is amazing, because now I get the chance to go and actually kind of regain my life, right? He was young. I mean, he's in school, right? We're talking high school, right? He was finally at a place where he got to regain the little bit of life that he had actually known when he was younger, but he didn't really get to experience. So he's finally able to go out and experience that. And he was excited to be able to go to school and to get out of the house and not face the emotional, physical, and mental abuse on a constant day-to-day basis, right? And be able to enjoy life finally for the very first time in his life. And so he was excited to do this, but there was still one issue. See, now when David would go to school, that's when he got his ass beat. Was at school. That's when he got emotionally, physically, and mentally abused, because when they moved, they ended up moving about 20 minutes away from the Ku Klux Klan headquarters. And David's African American, so that didn't mesh well. So now David's not allowed to leave his house. So before, his house is a prison. Now his house is still a prison, right? He was bound by his house before, wasn't able to do anything outside. Now he still can't do anything outside. He can't go experience this because no matter where he goes, he's facing some sort of abuse. And it's what he's known his entire life. I don't in any way pretend that I could ever imagine myself. And I would say that probably everybody on this call is the same way, that we could not imagine what that would be like to take on that kind of emotional, physical, mental abuse on a day-to-day basis, and what it would do to our confidence. I do know that many of us, all of us pretty much in some way, shape, or form struggle with confidence. We all do. It's what holds us back. It's the only thing that will hold us back from being a successful coach. It just is, right? It's the one thing that we need to gain the most of. And I can't imagine what it would be like to be berated and beaten and just, held down every single day. And then to finally get to a place, and this is where he got, and this is where his story really begins and why it's so inspiring, to finally get to a place where he stopped, he looked in the mirror, and he said, dude, no one's going to build your confidence for you. You have to build your confidence. You are the only one that is able to do this shit. Nobody's crying for you, right? You have to do it on your own. And so he took that risk and he said, okay, here's what he's going to do. He said, I decided that the only way I was going to build the confidence in myself would be to do things that made me uncomfortable. Things that I didn't like to do would be to test my body, test my mind, test myself on a day-to-day basis. And so he started what now has become his kind of movement, which is every day do something that sucks. That's kind of the words he lives by, right? Every day do something that sucks. And he does that. He is a walking billboard for that mindset. Do something that sucks. So when he finally just got out of school and he finally decided, okay, what am I going to do with my life? He decided, look, I'll become a Navy SEAL. Now, the specific reason he became a Navy SEAL was because he doesn't like water. He didn't know how to swim, and he's scared of heights. I don't know if you know much about Navy SEALs, but they spend a lot of damn time in the water, and they jump out of planes, okay? Actually, there's a thing in Navy SEALs in Bud's class in training where they actually do something called drown proofing. And if you're unfamiliar with drown proofing, what they literally do is they actually tie your hands behind your back, they tie your feet together, and they throw you in a pool. And the pool is about 10 feet deep, and you bob all the way down, you push yourself back up, and you take a breath, and you go down, and they let you sit there, right? And for somebody that doesn't know how to swim, somebody that's scared of water, that's extreme. I'm comfortable in water. I couldn't imagine doing that. Tying my hands behind my back, my feet together, and throwing me in the deep end of a pool, I'd freak out, and I'm comfortable in water. Imagine what he's thinking. Imagine what other people are thinking that don't have that same confidence. But that's the exact point. It's understanding that you have to stay confident. You have to be confident even when you don't have control, right? I'll tell you guys now, there's going to be so many times in your coaching career that you're not going to have control, but you still have to stay confident, right? Just like that. That's how you pass drown proofing, and people pass it all the time. He passed it, right? He did it because he kept his mind in control even though his limbs weren't. Right? He kept his heart within confidence, even though he couldn't control, aside from calming down, going up, taking a breath, and relaxing, and realizing it's going to be okay. I'm going to get through it. So he goes through Bud's. He becomes a Navy SEAL. And through one of his deployments, he actually had what he called a bad situation. And essentially what happened was he had a bunch of his team members, the majority of his team members actually die on a deployment. And in his world, right, his team is his family. Like most anybody that's in the military, that's in the services, they all think it's very much a tight-knit family, but especially when you get into special forces, it's extremely tight-knit. So that was very much his family, and it really did a lot to his psyche to finally find all of these people now gone, right? So he took a step back and he said, all right, what am I going to do? I need to stay away from this for a second. I need to just get my mind straight, right? But he's like, but he's not the kind of guy that just sits around, right? Clearly somebody with this kind of mindset doesn't just do nothing. So he decided, what am I going to do? I need to test myself constantly, right? And B, but I need to do something that's kind of active. So he decided, okay, I'm going to do an ultra marathon. And he's like, but I don't just do ultra marathons, right? He's like, I'm not just like the normal kind of guy. I want to raise money for something that's close to me, right? Something that's important to me. So he said, all right, I'm going to raise money for a fund that helps kids of fallen soldiers go to school. Because remember, he wasn't able to do that. It was the one thing that was kind of like the way to get away from the abuse, and he wasn't able to do it, right? So to him, that's a very, very deep and emotionally attached piece of his history, and that's what he wants to be able to give back to kids. So he says, okay, I'm going to raise money. I'm going to do this ultra marathon, and I'm going to raise money for this fund. And so he starts looking, like any normal person, he looks literally Google hardest things in the world to do. That's what what am I going to do? Hardest things in the world. And the Badwater Marathon came up. It's a 100-mile run through this in summertime through Death Valley, right? Stupidly hot. It's not a normal thing for anybody. And he goes, okay, I'm going to go do that. What? So he goes, all right, I'm going to do that. He contacts the race coordinator and he says, look, I want to be part of this marathon. How do I get in? And the guy said, well, how many ultra marathons have you done? He said, 0. He goes, well, how many marathons have you done? 0. He goes, dude, you can't just sign up and do the Badwater Marathon if you've never done. It's dangerous. Like you're not ready for that, right? Because the only way that you could ever enter this marathon is this ultra is you have to do at least another ultra marathon. You've got to run another 100. You got to run 100 miles, and you got to do some marathons. You've got to be in a place that you're actually safe enough to do this. You don't die in the middle of it. He said, okay. So within 2 weeks of that day, he found another ultra marathon in San Diego. It was extremely underfunded. Okay, and basically what happened was, it was a dirt track. It was a mile long. And when I say underfunded, I mean that imagine hood to coast if you're from the West Coast, or if imagine an ultra marathon, 100 miles, right? Usually many times they're ran in teams, or they're ran by one person, but this happened to be one that was ran in teams. So you would show up and you would have a team of people that would run it in relay, right? And then you would also have your team of people to bring the food and the water and the stuff for you to kind of relax and actually get through this. And so David shows up. He is he's well over 260 pounds. He has not ran more than a few miles in years. He is not physically or mentally, in most people's mind, ready to do something or take something on of this magnitude. And so what he does is he shows up, and this kid is excited. He's excited, like he is jacked, right? He's excited for what he gets to raise money for. He's excited for the test. He's excited for the opportunity to test himself and prove to himself that he can do this and to prove to everybody else he can do this, right? And it's the exact first thing that's the most important thing that we bring in to coaching or anything in life. It's excitement. When we start our coaching journey, we're excited about what we're doing. We're excited about the results we got from the program. We're excited about the opportunity that we have to give to other people. We are excited, and that's what's going to get us to get moving and put one foot in front of the other. The same thing that goes with our fitness journey. When you first start that very first program, you chose to do something different because where you were was not good enough for you. You were not happy with where you're at, and you need to do something different. So you're excited about this new plan and this new program and this new opportunity. So you get jacked, right? And then you take that excitement and you start moving forward. But eventually, that excitement doesn't actually push you to the end, right? Excitement only takes you so far. Excitement runs out like that. And so he shows up. David shows up at this marathon, and people literally look at him. He shows up with a folding chair, a bottle of water, and some crackers. And people stopped and looked at him like, who in the hell is this guy? What is he doing? You're running 100 miles. You got to do it in under 24 hours. This is not enough. Like, that's not, who? And he sat down in his chair, doesn't give a damn, doesn't care what anybody thinks. Here, he's already made it, right? In his mind, this is not the guy that thinks, I don't know if I can do it. His mind, from Navy SEAL, from his mindset, the way he functions, I'm running this damn race. It's just going to see if I can do it in under 24 hours. How much time can I make on this, right? That's his mindset. He stands up and they start the race, and his excitement carries him through. And I would probably assume, and this is an assumption, that his excitement carried him right through to the point where he's running. He's about 70 miles into it. Okay, it's a long damn time, right? He's running. He sits down in a chair. Okay, he takes a step back, sits down in a chair. He literally shit himself in the chair, peed all over himself. He had broken every single small bone in both of his feet. He was going into kidney failure. He sat down in the chair. He's 70 miles in. Guys, he still has more than a marathon to run, and he's got a time limit. Now this excitement, I don't think excitement's going to get you through that. In fact, I know excitement's not going to get you through that. The first time that you have somebody that says, yeah, I'm ready to excite, I'm ready to join you, let's get signed up. Okay, it's right before the end of the month. Oh my gosh, I'm going to hit Success Club. This person's going to sign up. This is going to be so amazing. And then they don't, right? The first time you fall on your ass on something, the first time somebody cancels, a coach cancels, the first time you get so invested in an outcome and then you recognize the outcome's not going to happen, right? Excitement doesn't get you past that wall. Excitement doesn't get you past a point where you can't walk, let alone run. Who does that, right? That's where it takes commitment. You've got to be committed to the process. And this guy has no lack of commitment. I mean, I think we can figure that out. this commitment is the only thing, aside from the very last thing, is the only thing at this point that's going to get him up off that chair and running. And so he stands up with both feet not working, kidney failure happening in not the best circumstances in his shorts, and starts to run. And legitimately, he finished that marathon. He ran slowly, but ran. He did it in under 24 hours, right? He got through that marathon, he finished, and then he went on to run the Badwater Marathon. In fact, at one point, he went on to win the Badwater Marathon. In fact, he's actually holds a world record for the most amount of pull-ups. This guy has won numerous ultras, numerous marathons. He is one of the most respected ultra athletes in the entire world now. The guy is absolutely amazing, right? But it's not because of just his excitement, and it's not because of just his commitment to the cause, right? His commitment to what he wanted to raise money for, to helping kids get out of the situation that he was in, right? To righting, if you will, the wrongs that he felt had been done to him. That commitment got him to a place where he was able to finish that marathon in part. But the larger part of it, the last part of it, the thing that keeps you going, the thing that we absolutely need that you cannot learn in a book. He might have learned the commitment side from just struggling in life, right? He could have learned the commitment side from just reading enough personal development that we talk about all the time. He could have learned commitment just by feeling passionate about something. But that isn't the thing that makes him continue to move on every single day and test himself every single day. And I think when you understand really what it is that makes him continue, I think you'll get it when you can see where he comes from. The most important thing that we're going to have, and this trumps to me everything else that the excitement and the commitment, is conviction. And this is why we talk about Summit. This is why we talk about Super Saturdays. This is why we talk about team calls. This is why we talk about success partners, right? This is the thing that he has that you cannot just somehow learn in a book. Conviction comes from being around like-minded people that have that same conviction for those same things. I would ask you guys, and I ask myself this, I can only imagine, do you not think that part of the reason he is able to push himself to these extents is the fact that he spends time all day, every day, around people in the special forces, the elite people that's all they do. Every single one of them thinks that way. Every single one of them has a no quit attitude. And I don't mean no quit like some cute little no quit attitude. I mean like literally there is no quitting until they die. That's how their minds work, because that's how they've been programmed. So I can only imagine that him being around that circle, that is his circle of 5, if you will, but it's a larger one for him. That circle, that ingrains in him on a day-to-day basis. There's no quitting. It just is what it is. This is just my life, and I'm going through it head first. That's something that we can't read it and just take it from a book. You get that because you're around people. You're going to get success from coaches, right? You're going to be able to push through the times that you're frustrated, the times that you don't hit Success Club, the times that you miss your quarterly bonus, the times that you miss that rank advancement, right? You're going to be able to push through those times where you're concerned about the way somebody's going to react to your post. What's your friend going to say? What's this person going to think? What's that person going to think? Oh my gosh, I got a negative mark or post on my comment on my post, right? You're going to push all that stuff because you're around, you put yourself, it's not by accident, you put yourself around people that get through that understand, hey, this is okay, that can share with you the way they have been convicted to do what we're doing and to get through and push through those times. That's the only reason that he was able, in my opinion, honestly, to not just stand up and start running at mile 70, but to finish the damn race. I can't run a marathon right now. With normal feet, I'd probably quit halfway through. But standing up when your feet are broken and you're in kidney failure and you're already ran 70 miles, can you imagine hitting that wall 3 times? They always talk about the wall in the marathon, right? Hitting that wall a few times, and then on top of that, having that kind of pain, and not just standing up and having the commitment to say, I'm going to start again, but having the true conviction to say, I'm not going to quit until I am done. Like, that's not something that you just read in a book. So that's why we say, and that's why Alicia was talking about, when you think about Summit, it's not just about going to Summit and having a good time and like learning some stuff. It's about immersing yourself in a culture of people that want you to do as well as they're doing and want everybody to do better, to better themselves, to better you, to better collectively as a group. And when you put yourself around people like that, that's what happens, right? But at the same time, we don't do it by accident. We don't show up at Summit by accident. Deanna, myself, Alicia, everybody that goes on purpose. Every other coach is there very much on purpose. We don't do these calls by accident. We don't show up at Super Saturdays by accident. It's very much on purpose. The people I friend on Facebook or on Instagram are on purpose, right? Looking for positive people constantly. You've got to keep yourself around those people. So I share his story to try to share the importance of really kind of understanding why those three things, that is what separates you from a successful coach if you're not as successful as you want to be right now. Right? You take the person that you want, the business that you want or whatever it is, that's what's separating you. If there's anything that is, that's what it is. It's that you had some excitement, right? Then you're going to get convicted, or you're going to find some commitment about it, right? But then you need to find the conviction to keep going. And then if you keep going, you're going to find the time that it's going to eventually, if you haven't read The Compound Effect, it's going to eventually compound. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, boom, you're there. And that's why these things are so wildly important. Does that make sense to everybody? Do you like really understand why it's so important? Does that help to kind of draw the photo or draw the picture, if you will? Does it? And that's really, guys, that's really all I wanted to share. There's no way for me to really express when I say, or when Alicia or Dion or anybody who's going to say, or any of you guys are going to tell your teams, you know, you're going to be excited, but there's things that are going to happen. And so that excitement's going to get you a little ways, but you got to look beyond the excitement. You got to look at it long term. And then you recognize that, okay, I'm committed to this process, but being committed to a process doesn't necessarily or inherently mean that you are convicted. You have the conviction to finish. You're committed to doing something, but do you have the conviction to really keep on going? Because I will be the first person to tell you, if I am, this will be hard. Like being a successful coach and having the business that you want, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be very simple, but it's not always going to be easy. And you are going to be frustrated at times. And that's okay. That's part of the process, right? I can guarantee that that's why David says, I need to do something that sucks. He doesn't do something that's fun every day. He does something that sucks to test him to gain confidence because he had no confidence. So if we want to gain confidence, we're going to have to push through the things that suck. It's where it comes from. It doesn't come from anyone else. So that's the joy in what we get to do. See those frustrating times, see those overwhelming times, see those irritating times as a chance and an opportunity for you to gain the confidence in that moment, and then use that as a tool to push you, and not only push you, but also for you to be able to share that with your team and push them, because at the end of the day, if we can really push everybody to be better and more confident, they're going to be better and more confident, right? And that's what we get to share with everybody around us. That's the great thing about coaching. Does anybody have any questions about that? That sounds. Alicia, is there anything you want to end with, or?
I don't have any questions, but that was amazing. Like, so amazing. Thank you. I've never heard that story before, and I'm just like, what? I mean, I trained for a marathon once, and I think the most I got up to was like 18 miles, and then I found out I was pregnant with my twins. But like even 18 miles was like long. I mean, I just can't imagine. So that's incredible, and I can't, say I 100% agree with you any more than that. I mean, you were so spot on. Like there's so much joy in this business, and so much fun, and so much just life-changing opportunity for you. But there is going to be challenging times, there is going to be times when you question yourself, and you doubt yourself, and you wonder if you really can do this, and if this is for you, blah, 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 blah. But coming back again to that conviction and that commitment, that's what will carry you forward. And I know we talked a bit about events, but for me, the conviction, that's what grew my conviction, was going to the events, was hearing our CEO talk, knowing the heart and the purpose behind the company that I partnered with. That took my conviction like sky high. Hearing other successful coaches, seeing what they had done, that upped my conviction, because I knew they're no different than me. They're no different than you. They just stuck with it. And so my conviction really has come from those events. And I know it takes sacrifice, right? But you find a way to get there because you're committed. So I loved that. I loved everything you had to say. Yeah, does anybody have any questions, or is there an area that he talked on that you feel like you are struggling with? We're here to help. We're not scary, I promise. So raise your hand and chime up if something is popping into your head right now. You're like, man, this has been hard for me this week, or, you know, I'm feeling challenged by this. This is a great time to talk about it. Anybody? No? Andrea, awesome. That's so cool that you've already listened to this guy. Man, I have to check him out.
You're unmuted.
I'm unmuted. Okay, great. Yeah, just, I mean, I guess I hadn't heard the full story of David, but it definitely puts things into perspective. I know myself, you know, you wake up in the morning and you complain about, oh, I've got a headache, or, you know, my hamstrings are sore, I'm not going to do my workout. And it's just so, like, just, it's so minuscule compared to what he had to face, or what he faces when he does those challenges. And he does them because he wants to do them. He wants to be put out of his comfort zone. And just relating back to, I mean, coaching for me, I mean, as you know, Alicia, I was here before, and then I left, and now I'm back again. And that's like, it's just, for me, it's a comfort zone. And I always have this thing hanging over my head about, what are people going to think? And, you know, everyone has an opinion. And, you know, I know I have to get over that. And that's just something I have to deal with. But I think, you know, my biggest struggle is, you know, how do I do that first? I'm working on my Facebook page right now. How do I do that first post or that first video? Or this is just so out of the ordinary for me. Like, I don't even know where to start. Like, so I guess that's my question.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I mean, Alicia, I'd love to hear both of the responses on this, because you might say something different. But I think there's the aspect, especially when you're talking about just starting, right? Just moving into it. There's the aspect of like, okay, what do I post? You know, like, how do I post? You know, like, there's that part of it. But I think you push that side a little bit and really look at the reason you're not starting that yet, or you haven't started it yet. You're probably not trying to figure out, what do I say? We can figure that out. That's going to be straightforward. The hardest part is just like, how do I get past the wall that is standing in front of me that's stopping me from putting that out there, right? Or putting myself out there, because like you said, it's different. And at the end of the day, it's going to be literally the same way you start that marathon or he starts that marathon. It's just putting one foot in front of the other and making the move. It's kind of, you know, like, just going forward. It's putting yourself out there. See, that's, I think, one of the things, and don't let me go off on a tangent if that's not at all what you're talking about. But I think many times that is what we deal with. Things that are standing in our way, just in general, but it's a mental block. And then at the end of the day, we have to understand as coaches, we're going to mess up. We're going to embarrass ourselves at times. It's going to be uncomfortable. Like, that is on purpose. That is exactly, like, that's one of my favorite things about what we do, is because it's only through those times that we get to grow as people. You will never, the size of your goal is going to be exactly proportional to the size of the struggle to get there, right? So if you've got big goals, you're going to have to go through mental and emotional struggles to achieve those big goals, right? You're going to have to put yourself out there on a level that will achieve those goals. Small goals, a little bit less, you know, like, wherever it is, that's where it's at, right? I don't know. I mean, Alicia, what are your thoughts on that? You know Andrea better than I do, so maybe I'm off on a tangent on that one.
No, I think you had a great point. One thing I would add is shift your focus, because I think so often when we are acting from a fear base, we are acting from ego, right? We're acting from our own ego, wanting to protect ourselves, and we're really thinking about us. Like, what's so-and-so, you know, we always have that one person. I love Jen Sincero. She calls her, like, Sad Sack Sally, you know, like the one person in your life where you're like, oh gosh, what's so-and-so going to say? You know, or what's this person going to think about me? And so we're really making it about me. But if you shift your focus to, who am I trying to help? Who am I trying to reach? And you shift it from being about me and my ego to all of these people who need you. You have such an amazing voice and such an incredible heart. And I just try and think, like, even now, 4 years in, right? I'm going to do a butt in my butt in a bikini before and after picture on Facebook, because I saw one from last summer and I was like, I have to share, but I'm still like, oh my God, this is insane. But then I think about, like, who is this going to reach? If I can help just one mom, and this is why I get all emotional, right? I'm like, if I can just show one mom that was where I was, that this is possible, that you don't have to stay stuck here, that you can change and you can feel like amazing as a 34-year-old mom in a freaking bikini, because it's not like about the shape of your body, but it's about the life that you live in the body. And so, yeah, if I go to my ego and I think like, oh my God, what are like, my whatever from high school or my mom, like, oh, is she gonna think less of me as a daughter? It goes to me. And then I get all wrapped up in my own ego and my fears and my insecurities. But then I think about the person who I'm trying to reach and the impact I'm trying to make. It's like a no-brainer. You're just gonna do it because it's about so much more than just you. And then one more thing I would add is you got to just like rip off the Band-Aid, right? I think it was somebody from corporate at some event. You always have so many nuggets. He shared about a brand new coaches, and he compared it to like sprinters. Like if you've ever watched a race with the sprinters, right? I can't remember. I don't know like the lingo, but you have to go really fast, really quick. And you'll watch them getting ready in the starting blocks. And it's when they start with, 1 foot back, 1 foot forward against the blocks, and they get down in the crouch and they can go, right? And I'm not like a fitness person, but he said, you watch them and they never stay in the blocks when they're getting ready, right? Because sometimes there's delays and sometimes and they'll go down and they'll get back up and they'll go down and they get back up. And he said they want to stay down in the blocks as short amount of time because they know the longer they stay down there, the harder it is to leave, to sprint out of the blocks, because their muscles start to seize up and their bodies, it's like body in motion stays in motion, whatever. And so he compared that to a brand new coach being like, you're in the starting blocks right now. And the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to get out. Because the more you overthink it and you get into your ego and you get stuck, and it becomes this huge thing versus just like sprinting, just getting in the blocks and going for it. And whatever happens, you fall on your face, you get back up and you keep running, but don't stay in the starting blocks and get in your head. Does that help? Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I know I'm totally in my head all the time, and I'm always like, well, how can I post stuff about this? I don't know the material. This 2B Mindset's out, but I don't know anything about it. Although, not that I don't know anything about it, but I have a few people in mind that I think it could definitely help. But I've got to study. I've got to be more prepared. Like I feel like I can't just do it, right? I got to prepare, and I think that's what I just have to get over it and just start. Just putting stuff out there. I mean, it makes total sense. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just a struggle I'm really going to have to work at to kind of push through.
Well, absolutely. Like there's the perfection paralysis, right? Where we think we have to know everything. We have to have all the answers. But that's the amazing thing as coaches is we can know absolutely nothing, but we can be so fired up about what we can help people with that it doesn't freaking matter. At all, because we have the professionals, we have the resources, we have everything that we need to share with people. So we don't even have to know anything other than I want to help you. What are your goals? This is what you need to do. Check this out. Let's do it. Like it's simple as that. Now, sorry, Justin, you had something you wanted to add.
No. I was just going to say, and I'll say this to everybody because you're not alone here, first of all. Yeah. This is like pretty much every single person goes through this. Here's the one most powerful thing I learned about being a coach. Take off the coach hat, okay? And I'll explain what I mean by that. Honestly, the minute we become coaches is when everything goes awry and we start freaking out. Think about it like this, and this is why I try to relate it to asking people when we're inviting people to go to a restaurant with us, okay? And the reason I use that as an analogy is because if you hear about a restaurant, you've never been there, you heard from a friend how amazing this restaurant is, and you're excited to go try it out, and you invite some friends, you don't know the menu 100%. You don't know where they source the food from. You don't know how the chef cooks. You don't know the business model. You don't know anything. All you know is what you know. That doesn't mean that you can't get somebody excited to come with you. You don't have to, and they don't expect you to know everything. You're saying, look, I'm really excited to do this for X, Y, and Z. I'm really excited to go to this restaurant because my friend told me about it, and apparently it's the best steak restaurant in all of town. I can't wait to go. You want to go? You like steak? You want to roll? Sweet. Awesome. Let's go. Wouldn't it be odd for you to be like, well, okay, so tell me, how much did they earn last year? And so what kind of seasoning do they use? And like, that would be a weird thing to ask somebody if they invited you that, right? You're not expected to know. So it's the same thing with what we do as coaches. We're not expected to know anything. And in fact, using the phrase, you know what, I'm not sure, but I can find out. That's a very, very, very powerful phrase. And it's hard for me because I like to know everything, because I don't want to look like I don't know. I want to be perceived as somebody that knows everything. So it's really hard for me to sit back and go, you know what, that's a great question. I'm not sure. Let me find out. But at the same time, that ego on my end, the ego that I have, the reason that I want, that has also been one of the biggest things that holds our business back, is me giving too much information, wanting to know everything, and making people feel like they have to know everything that I know to be successful in this. And it's just not true at all. In fact, it's the total opposite. So once we can wrap our head around the idea that we don't need to have coach hats on, we just need to be people on our journey and excited about something. And if we share excitement, not information, just the excitement about it alone, that by itself is far more than we need to get somebody else excited to join us. And if we don't know, to be mindset, almost nobody knows really a lot about that. It's like a hard thing to know a lot about. So like when we're inviting just from the standpoint of, I don't know, I'm literally going to go through this too. This is the little bit I know. Here's a quick video. It explains basically what I know about it, but it sounds really interesting, and I'm excited to go through the process. You know, I would just need people to be there with me, and we can help each other walk through this. Let's lock arms and do this together. Is that something that you want to jump in on? I mean, either way, you know, it's like that. We're talking about it in that framework. I don't know about it, and I think it's actually probably good that you don't know about it. That meaning that Beachbody doesn't. They're kind of vague on it, if I'm honest. I've never seen them so vague to this level on a program. I think it's partly probably on purpose. She's like, no, you don't need to know everything. Just trust it and go with it. You trust us. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of mindset. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Totally. Dusty had a quick question that she chatted, and I guarantee that she is not alone on this. But she was saying that she's had a struggle where she had a loss in the family, and she's kind of going through, you know, a kind of tough time, and it's pulling her away from social media, and she's just not quite sure how to get back into social media. Similar kind of, I think, standpoint, Andrea, in some ways is what you're going through. Different stimulants, if you will, but similar places. Alicia, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well. I personally would say it's not, at the end of the day, we have to figure out, Dusty, why you're pulling back from social media, like what it is about it that is freaking you out. If it's just like, I can't focus on anything right now, I'm just in this bubble or whatever, or if it's specifically linked to, I'm okay with doing other stuff, I just for some reason can't do social media. That's where my line is. If that is true, the only advice I could give would be to step back, or one thing I could say would be to step back and go, okay, if you're concerned about social media, but you recognize as you do that it's a very important part of coaching, then step back, take, you know, maybe 10 minutes a day or 5 minutes a day for a few days and just go, okay, I want to be grateful for social media. Like, what are all the great things that have come from specifically me posting on social media? Sit in that and think of that. Like, think about, like, what have I done, you know, over the past 2 years on social media that has been heartwarming, that has made me happy, filled me with joy, right? That's really excited me and filled my life with excitement and joy and gratitude. And find that gratitude for a few days. And I can say the more time you spend finding gratitude in what social media has to offer you, and it does, I can guarantee that social media specifically has done some things in your life over the past 2 years that you can be really excited about. We all can. There's also some hard things, right? But at the end of the day, if we can find gratitude in that time and that specific issue, then that's going to be one of the easiest ways to get through the barrier of like, okay, I need to do this again. It's the same kind of thing. Like, I've gone through times where it's really hard for me I'll get out of the daily behaviors for some reason, right? We'll go do something. And it's hard for me to get back in that mode again. I have to be like, whoa, what's going on? And it gets like almost overwhelming with other stuff. And I have to literally sit back and go, okay, what are all the great things that have happened because specifically of these behaviors? What has this done for my family? What has this done for us? What has this done for my future, the excitement for my life? What can I be grateful for in this? And when I start thinking of all the happy and grateful things and all the excitement, it makes it very easy for me to go, well, I want more of that. This creates that. I'm going to do this more. It's easier for me to kind of get back into it and live there again. What would you say, Alicia?
Yeah, first off, I love your point about looking for the positive in social media. I think that was genius. I will just say from my own experience, it was about 2 years ago. My sister got in a really bad cycling accident and was life flighted to the hospital. And it was pretty touch and go for a while. And so that was really hard. I found myself also not wanting to be on social media. And I think for me, it's like grief or challenging times or things like that. You go so in, or maybe it's just me, but I'm kind of more of an introvert. But like, I feel like you just sort of emotionally go in to yourself. And I think social media is like energetically putting yourself out. So it's almost like you've got an opposite thing going on. Like your emotions are just so, I don't know how else to describe it other than like it feels very personal. Like you just can't even put yourself out there because you don't have that in you yet. And so for me, I would say for the first day or two, I didn't even go there. And then I started to just share what was going on with her, just to update friends and family. And so that was sort of a way to like get back to social media without it feeling personal, if that makes sense. So it was easier to talk about something else because it wasn't personal. And so that's sort of how I did, and then slowly came back. But just know, like, there are times in our lives, right? We have phases in our lives, and maybe right now you're in a phase where you need to grieve, and that's okay. So allow yourself a little bit of grace there, and don't beat yourself up about it. And like Justin said, if you can find joy, and maybe just sharing something really simple, like seeing social media as a journal, share about what you're going through if you can, in the hopes that maybe it will help somebody else who's going through a similar situation. You can share about what you're doing. How are you carrying through with this loss? Maybe resources that are helping you. So again, sort of how can you take it from you and make it about somebody else? I don't know if that's helpful, but just sort of my thoughts.
Does that help at all, Dusty? I know you can't talk, but does that help at all?
I'm sorry for your loss. Whatever that was.
Yeah. Yeah, and let's not discount it. It's not to say that, guys, that when you go through those times, I can sound like I'm discounting things, and I'm not at all. Like, it is hard, and I love the fact that Alicia brought light to the idea that it's like, yes, sometimes you go through those moments in life, and you should allow yourself that time, and that's okay, and don't beat yourself up over it. It's not your fault. It's not bad. It is what you have to go through. But I also love that she did take that to, one of the things that we do on social media. I don't know if I'm alone here, but I think probably not. Many people struggle with posting stuff online, is it can feel like you're being very kind of self-absorbed, and it can feel like you're almost trying to brag about stuff. Like, how many selfies can I put out there? People are going to think, why are you talking about yourself all the time, right? But and I know it's a major thing that I struggled with, and it was really hard for me because I used to make fun of people that do what we do because I didn't understand it, right? And now recognizing that if you're truly doing this right, and our hearts are in the right place, which they all are, right? You're posting not to impress, but to inspire. And that there's a very, very, very vast difference between those two things. When you're truly posting, like Alicia says, to change other people's lives and to impact other people and to inspire them to do different and do better and do bigger or do whatever they need to do or help them get through a hard time, right? Mm-hmm. We can take all the stuff that's happening in our lives that's hard, and we can make that a positive thing. It doesn't make it be easier for us. But we can take those things and we can make them positives for other people because we have tools, every single one of us, aside from Beachbody. We have tools in our toolbox that we can give to people to help them navigate through the same things that we have navigated through. And that's really the true journey that we're on. And that's the true purpose of why we post, is to help people navigate through their lives the same way that we're navigating through our lives. Right? Sometimes that deals with Beachbody. Sometimes that deals with the way we're dealing with a loss. Sometimes that deals with the way we're dealing with stress in our lives and work or whatever it is. But if we're coming from a place to change other people's lives, we're never going to be able to come off as though we're being arrogant because it's just not there. We're just not. We're not trying to. Right? So, but it's hard to get that in our head. But once we think about it from that perspective, right? Like you said, who am I trying to change here? Who am I trying to help? what person am I talking to right now? Having that as your focus, and then go, how can I help them? How can I serve them? Well, just like she said, it takes it off you. This is no longer a post about me, right? I might have a photo of me, but if I'm talking in my copy about something else that can help you, it's not about me. And nobody that reads that is going to think it's about me. They're going to see, oh, and they're going to be inspired by it. And that is what is amazing about what we get to do. That's why I love coaching versus like selling something, because it's all about emotion, not about promotion, right? We're not promoting ourselves. We're promoting emotion to other people. Does that make sense to everybody? Awesome. Anybody else have any other questions before we let you guys go to your today and do more fun stuff? Hang out with us. Anybody else?
Yeah, you're in trouble because Justin and I both are the people who want to have all the answers. So
Yeah,
we'll sit here answering and talking all day long.
Yeah, so yeah, this is a dangerous call. Well, hey, I really, really, really appreciate you guys taking your time today. I know that we're all busy. We've all got stuff going on, so don't think that it goes unnoticed at all. We appreciate you guys. If nobody has any questions, anything else you want to leave us with, Alicia?
No, that was it. Yeah. Again, like Justin said, thank you for joining our call. It's always fabulous to see your faces each and every week. So thank you for taking the time. Have an awesome day.
And get ready. Just going to keep an eye on that team page, guys, because there's going to be some exciting news coming on here pretty soon. Very exciting news. So don't get it twisted. Spam page. Check it out. All right, you guys.
So
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Jerk with the teaser.